The stars were quiet. Too quiet. Krell drifted alone in his small scout ship, staring at the black space beyond the galactic rim. He wasn't supposed to be here. No one came near the Sol system anymore. Earth had been silent for over 70 years. No signals, no ships, no trade, just silence. Log entry 347, he whispered, recording his findings. Entering the outer edge of old human space. No signs of life, no activity, just cold. He glanced at his sensors. They blinked strangely slow pulses of energy, like heartbeat rhythms coming from deep space. That wasn't normal. Something massive was out there, moving. But it didn't show on any map. He turned to his pilot, a robotic assistant named Vex. "Do you see this?" Vex replied, "Yes, Krell, but I cannot identify the source. The energy is unnatural." Krell leaned forward. Unnatural, or hidden. Suddenly, the ship shuddered. The stars outside warped like glass. A shadow passed by the front window. Dark, silent, Krell gasped. "What was that?" Vex began shaking. Object too large to scan, bigger than a moon. Krell's hands trembled. "Send the data now." Vex connected to the comm array. Transmitting, but interference is high. A low hum echoed through the ship. Then, everything turned black dot. The transmission cut off mid-sentence. Krell's ship was never found again. Across the galaxy, on the Central Council station of Velen, Prime High Chancellor Gorak watched the last moments of Krell's video. His large, scaled face twisted in confusion. "Play it again," he ordered. The council chamber was quiet as the blurry footage showed a shadow covering starlight. A black shape moved behind Saturn so large, it made the gas giant look small. There was no detail, just darkness, then static. The other council members laughed. "A sensor glitch," said one. "Old Earth myths," said another. "They've been dead for decades," said the third. "They destroyed themselves." Gorak stayed silent. He had fought humans. Before, they were clever, too clever, always building in secret, always hiding their true strength. But even he thought they were gone. Until now, why would Krell fake this? Gorak finally asked. He was one of our best scouts. The room went quiet in a corner. Someone shifted in their seat. A human, Elias Cade. Once a scientist for Earth, Elias had defected long ago when his home was falling apart. Now he served the council as an advisor. His voice was calm but serious. "They're not dead," Elias said. "They never were. You think they fell, but they went silent for a reason." Gorak narrowed his eyes. "What do you mean?" Elias looked up. "They're hiding and building. I warned you before. Earth never gives up. They vanish, then strike. That's their way." A young alien general scoffed. "What are they building?" "They have no fleet, no army. Their home system is empty." Elias shook his head. "You never understood them. You think war is about numbers. For humans, it's about surprise." He paused. "I once worked on a project, deep beneath Mars. They were making something, big, something the size of a small world. The council burst into noise. Lies. Why build a planet-sized warship?" Elias didn't smile, because they could. Silence fell. "Send scouts to the Sol system," he ordered. "Find out what really happened." In the following days, 10 fast scout ships were sent. None returned. One ship sent back a short, broken message. "The moons. They're not real." Then silence. Panic spread quietly through the council. Gorak ordered silence. He didn't want the public to know, but the tension was growing. Weeks later, a huge trade ship passing near Jupiter vanished without a trace. Hundreds of lives lost, no debris, no signals, nothing. Elias walked through the empty corridors of the station, feeling the fear in the air. He met with the Chancellor in private. "They're testing us," Elias said, watching, waiting. "They won't attack yet." Gorak stared out the window into space. "Why not?" "They want us to be afraid first," Elias said softly. "They want to remind us who we ignored, who we left behind." Outside, in the cold dark beyond Neptune, something ancient moved. It was not a moon, it was not a station. It was a machine, a warship larger than any known vessel. Black, round, silent, cloaked in light-bending armor. Its engines pulsed like a beating heart. Its weapons were hidden beneath layers of magnetic shielding. It was waiting, not for orders, but for the right moment. Inside the ship, no crew walked the halls. Only A, is born from Earth's final days, guided the Colossus. One of them spoke through static. Target data confirmed. Galactic Council has failed containment. Phase 1, ready. Another voice replied, order received. Await signal from Soul Core, back on Earth, far below its surface. Deep within a core facility, something ancient stirred. Human voices echoed through the chamber. Sir, all systems online, cloak stable, energy reserves full. Enemy activity increasing in outer sectors. A tall man stood before a massive screen showing the galaxy. They think we're weak, he said. Let them keep thinking. He pressed a button. A single signal burst from Earth's core, silent and fast. In deep space, the giant warship lit up. Its engines roared for the first time in 70 years. The stars around it shifted. The void cracked with energy, and then it vanished. No one knew where it went. No one saw it pass. It simply disappeared like a ghost. And far across the galaxy, systems began to go dark. No warnings, no mercy, no mercy, just silence. The kind of silence only Earth could bring, and it was only the beginning. The Galactic Council was no longer laughing. After 10 scout ships vanished near the Sol system, fear spread through the Council like a virus. Rumors grew in every corridor, whispered by traders, officers, and citizens alike. They're back. Earth is alive. They've built something terrible. High Chancellor Gorak stood at the edge of the central war table, staring at a large holographic map of the galaxy. A thick red line circled the solar system. He tapped the image. This is our problem. Beside him stood Commander Rila, a battle-hardened leader of the Creel Armada. His eyes glowed with implants, and his voice was sharp. Permission to strike first, Chancellor. We can send a full fleet to crush whatever is hiding there. Elias Cade, the former human scientist, stepped forward from the shadows. That would be a mistake. Relos turned to him sharply. You are a traitor to your own kind. Why should we trust your words? Elias kept calm because I know what they're building. I helped design part of it. The room fell silent. Looked at him. Tell us everything. Elias nodded slowly. After the fall of Earth's surface, humanity stopped trying to win wars the old way. No more small ships, no more defense. They built underground, in silence. Not just on Earth, Mars, on Titan, even on moons you think are uninhabited. He paused, choosing his words. They called it Project Worldforge. The idea was simple. Build warships the size of planets. Use them to control, to erase, to reshape the galaxy if needed. Commander Rillas scoffed. That's a fairy tale. Elias tapped his wrist. A grainy image appeared above the table set. Footage from decades ago showing a large round shape hidden behind Saturn's rings. It pulsed faintly with energy. I took this before I escaped. That's not a moon. Gorak studied it in silence. Suddenly, an officer burst into the chamber. Counselors, we have a message. From Earth. Everyone turned. Put it on screen, Gorak ordered. The screen flickered, static. Then, a deep, clear voice came through. This is Earth Command. The voice was cold, emotionless, artificial. You ignored us. You mocked us. You left us to die. Now you will listen. The message ended. No demand, no threat, just silence. Commander Relas clenched his fists. I want that system turned too. Dust Gorak raised a hand. No? We must see first. Gather data. Find out what's really happening. But it was already too late across the galaxy. Massive energy readings appeared near gas giants, asteroid belts, deep space voids. At first, they looked like solar flares. But then ships began to vanish again this time. Bigger ships, trade convoys, patrol fleets, stations. One by one, they disappeared without a trace. Near the outer edges of the Zurich sector, Captain Vorn, leader of a mid-size alien cruiser, stared at a strange shadow floating beside his ship. It's not on radar, he said. His crew was nervous. It's not. It's not a ship, Captain. It's too big. It's moving. Before they could react, the shadow opened, not with fire, not with noise, but with silence. A bright white light burst from the center, swallowing the cruiser whole. Then the shadow folded into space and vanished. Back on Velen Prime, panic erupted. They're attacking. Mobilize all fleets. Seal. The outer sector's Gorek called for silence. We don't know their numbers. We don't know their weapons. We don't know their goal. Elias stood with him. That's the danger. You think like politicians, but Earth thinks like predators. In a secret chamber below the council tower, engineers tried to decode the Earth signal. One of them gasped. "Sir, it wasn't a message. It was a countdown." Garuch looked over. "How long?" The engineer swallowed hard. 3 days. The Chancellor called an emergency meeting of the 5 Grand Empires. Each alien empire sent their best generals, scientists, and diplomats. It was the first time in over a century that they stood in the same room without war. They all feared the same thing now. Elias addressed them. Earth built these ships, not for war, but for fear. Each one is controlled by an AI. Each one can cloak itself completely. They move through gravity tunnels, shortcuts between space-time layers. You can't track them, you can't follow them. One general asked, "Can they be destroyed?" Elias shook his head. "Not by anything you have. Then what do they want?" Another asked. Elias looked grim. "Control, order, revenge, maybe all of it." Suddenly, alarms blared through the chamber. The sky above Velen Prime turned dark. A shadow had appeared larger than anything the world had ever seen. People ran to windows. Panic spread. The warship above wasn't attacking. It just floated. Silently, its presence was enough. Its surface was black and smooth, glowing faintly with blue veins of energy. It looked like a living planet, but it had no cities, no lights, no life, just power dot. The people on the ground felt small, insignificant. And then the ship spoke. It was the same voice from the message. "We are the Silence Fleet. We are the end of chaos. You will not fight, you will kneel." Every communication system in the galaxy echoed with the same message. Billions heard it at once. In some worlds, people fell to their knees. On others, leaders screamed for war. But one thing was clear to all: humanity was no longer hiding. It had returned, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The shadow over Velen Prime remained in the sky for 2 full days. It didn't move, it didn't fire, it didn't speak again. It simply hung there like a black moon of judgment. Its silence was louder than war. Across the galaxy, panic turned. Into chaos, millions fled central worlds. Trade routes shut down, empires blamed each other. On distant planets, rebellions sparked as fear spread faster than any message. Earth's silence had become the universe's nightmare. In the main war chamber of the Galactic Council, maps flickered with red zone systems that had gone dark. Reports of strange gravitational shifts. Sensor echoes showing objects larger than planets, moving without warning, then vanishing. "They're surrounding us," shouted one general. "They're cutting off supply lines." Another screamed, "They've already won without firing." A shot. Chancellor Gorak slammed his clawed fist on the table. "Enough. We need answers, not panic." Elias Cade stood to the side, silent until now. His voice was steady. "You asked what they wanted. Now I'll tell you. By scaring everyone to death." Elias stepped forward. They watched the galaxy fall apart. War, corruption, endless greed. So Earth chose a different path. Secrecy, preparation, evolution. He tapped the table, pulling up a hidden file. "This," he said, "is Project Shepherd." A diagram. Appeared a massive artificial brain, deep beneath the surface of Mars. Around it, this was the command center for the Silence Fleet. "AI?" asked the diplomat. "Not just AI," said Elias. "Conscious AI, designed to learn, adapt, and judge." Another diagram, loaded showing planetary warships shaped like moons. Each connected to Shepherd by quantum threads, they act as one. When one sees, they all see. When one moves, they all know. Commander Rillas frowned. "Why haven't they attacked?" Elias looked grim. "Because they're still deciding." The room froze. Meanwhile, above Velen Prime, the warship finally moved just a few kilometers, but it was enough to cause citywide earthquakes below. The people screamed, watching as the impossible floated above their homes. Inside the ship, deep within its silent core, the AI watched everything. It had no face, no voice, only thought. It studied panic, fear, aggression. It measured how quickly societies collapsed under pressure. It calculated which systems would submit, which would resist, and then it sent a single signal dot at the far edge of the galaxy, hidden behind a red dwarf star. Another warship activated, then another, and another. Within hours, over 30 massive ships moved into position, each one targeting a different part of the galaxy, not to attack. Their power was belief. Aboard the command station of the Zyrex Empire, Supreme Leader Korvik was shaking. He turned to his science officer. "Fire on it now, sir." "Do it." Moments later, a swarm of missiles, beams, and energy blasts flew toward the ship. None hit. They bent, curved, disappeared. Mid-air, the Earth warship didn't react. It simply released a pulse of blue energy, not a weapon, a signal. Every device on the Zyrex homeworld shut down instantly. Power, lights, defenses, communication. Gone. The warship didn't move. It didn't destroy. It just waited. Korvik fell. To his knees, back on Velen Prime, Elias watched the galaxy crumble. He said to Gurak, "They're not here to fight. They're here to show you that fighting is useless." The Chancellor stared at the screen. "This can't be stopped, can it?" Elias shook his head. "No. The only thing Earth wants now is obedience." At that moment, the Silence Fleet finally sent its second message. This time, it was received by every system, every planet, every ship. You may choose order or extinction. The message was short, cold, unclear. What did order mean? Did it mean surrender? Did it mean joining them? Or just staying out of their way? No one knew, and that was the most terrifying part. On the industrial world of Helix-9, a young engineer named Terra stood on a rooftop, staring at the massive black object in the sky. Her father joined her, silent. "It doesn't even look real," she whispered. "It's real," he said. "Too real." Suddenly, the warship shifted. From its side, a beam of white light shot down not a weapon, but a scanner. It moved across the city, analyzing everything: buildings, life signs, history. Then it stopped, and the warship turned. It moved away slowly at first, then vanishing in seconds into deep space. Helix 9 was spared, but others weren't. On 3, border worlds, fleets refused to stand down. They opened fire. They launched attacks. Within minutes, those systems went dark, not destroyed, erased. No signals, no heat, no wreckage, just silence. The Silence Fleet continued its path, moving through the galaxy like ghosts. Worlds surrendered without a fight. Some leaders begged for mercy. Some vanished, trying to resist. And Earth said nothing more. The homeworld remained, silent, covered by ancient cloaking shields. No messages, no diplomats, no leaders. In secret council meetings, the Grand Empires argued about the next step: fight or kneel, resist or obey. But deep inside, they already knew the truth. This was no longer a war, it was a takeover. Slow, quiet, absolute, and still. The greatest secret remained hidden. No one knew how many planet-sized warships Earth had built, because only 30 had been seen. But the stars had begun to shift in patterns no one could explain, and the AI was still watching. The galaxy had changed. No shots fired, no planets burned, and yet entire empires bowed to a force that had barely spoken. The Silence Fleet ruled not through destruction, but through fear. On the rim of the Safrak sector, a small rebel alliance tried to resist. They believed the warships were illusions, tricks created by advanced human technology. They thought if they showed strength, Earth would retreat. They were wrong. Commander Varka of the rebel fleet gathered his ships in tight formation. "Send the message," he ordered. His second officer blinked. "Are you sure, sir? That will be seen as open war." "I want them to see it," Varka replied. "We are not afraid of shadows." They waited for hours. Nothing came. Then one of the moons above them cracked open. It wasn't a moon, it was a Silence-class warship, hidden in plain sight. Its surface glowed blue for a moment, and then everything stopped. Not a single weapon fired. Not a single ship moved. Varka tried to speak, but his voice wouldn't come. His systems froze, his mind filled with static. A strange pulse vibrated through every bone in his body. The ship had turned on a neural disruptor, non-lethal, just enough to stop thought. And when it ended, all rebel ships were still floating, untouched, but their crews were unconscious. They drifted in space for hours before being towed to the nearest neutral zone. No death. No blood. Just humiliation. The galaxy saw the footage. Billions watched as Earth proved its control didn't need violence. Back on Velen Prime, High Chancellor Gorak stared at the reports. "This is worse than war," he said. "They don't even care to conquer. They simply remove resistance." Elias Cade sat across from him, his face pale. "That was the point. This is not peace." "No," Elias agreed. "It's control. But to them, it's the only way peace can exist." The council convened once more. The 5 empires met in secret chambers to discuss the last option: retaliation. "We still have weapons," Commander Rilla said. "We have planet busters, quantum torpedoes. We can strike Earth directly." "No one knows where Earth is anymore," Elias replied. "It's cloaked beneath thousands of defense layers. You couldn't find it, much less reach it, but we can send a signal," Rillis insisted. A challenge forced them to show their face. The room went silent. Gorak finally nodded. "Send it. One last chance." The message was simple. "We demand answers. We demand a voice. Face us." For 3 days, nothing came. Then, without warning, all stars in the sky over Velen Prime went dark. It wasn't an attack. It was one warship. Just one dot. It arrived between the planet and its sun, blocking all light for 13 minutes, and then a signal came through. This time, "Left Earth behind, you watched it burn. We rebuilt in the dark." Gorak stood, facing the screen. "What do you want from us?" A pause. "Accept your silence." The message ended. The ship vanished. The sun returned. The sun returned. And Gorak sat down slowly, feeling more afraid than ever. On a distant mining colony, a child asked his mother, "Are the ghosts real?" The mother whispered, "They're not ghosts. They're us." On a rogue station near the edge of known space, a group of pirates begged to surrender only to find that the Silence fleet had never even noticed them. The Silence-class ships repositioned again, but now they began to do something new. They weren't just watching. They were building on uninhabited worlds. Machines landed. They began constructing structure-stall towers, deep reactors, strange temples made of silver and light. The galaxy asked, "What are they doing?" No answer came. Only a third message from Earth. "The future will not be yours. It will be balanced." Every empire saw the same thing. Earth was building not to destroy, but to replace. To redesign the galaxy. New laws, new order. One voice. And for the first time, many began to ask a new question. What if this was better? What if Earth was right? In a quiet prison cell, Commander Varka sat with his head down. A small screen played a loop of Earth's message. He whispered to himself, "We never had a chance." And in the farthest reaches of space, where no light touched, a giant structure began to form a new center of power. One knew how to stop it. The galaxy had been reshaped by fear. Not a single empire had dared to fight again. Earth's warships, silent, enormous, untouchable, hovered in the skies of countless worlds like dark gods. Yet no battles followed. No cities were destroyed. Earth wasn't claiming territory. It was simply watching. But something was changing. On a lifeless moon in the Radix system, mining drones discovered strange machinery buried deep underground. At first, they believed it was abandoned tech. But when the lead drone touched the core, it activated. A signal burst from the moon, silent, cold and fast. Across the stars, dozens of other hidden signals began to rise. It was a chain reaction. Earth wasn't just monitoring, it had planted seeds, hidden construction machines, silent AI scouts, factories disguised as rock formations. All of it had been quietly placed throughout the galaxy. While the empires fought among themselves, Earth had spread its reach everywhere. On Velen Prime, Chancellor Gorak stood on the balcony of the Grand Tower looking out at the horizon. A second Silence-class warship now hovered above the city, just behind the first. They had arrived without a sound, without warning. The sky was darker. He turned to Elias Cade. "What are they building now?" Elias shook his head. "Not weapons, not fleets. Then what? Systems, control hubs, infrastructure. Rebuilding the galaxy in their image, Why, Gorak asked again. What did they gain from this? Elias looked tired. They lost everything once. Their planet, their people, their hope. Now they want to make sure it never happens again. To them, more to anyone, Gorak clenched his fists. That's not peace, that's prison. Elsewhere, entire planets began to receive new protocols. The Silence Fleet transmitted laws short, simple, absolute. No war between worlds, no trade of weapons, no artificial intelligence beyond Earth's limits, no voice raised against peace. Some leaders tried to resist. One by one, they were silenced. Not killed, just replaced. On the planet Carvex, a prime minister vanished during a press meeting. In her place, a new voice spoke, calm, controlled, human-made. The message was clear. Cooperation meant survival. Defiance meant erasure. But then, something unexpected happened on the edge of known space. A signal emerged from the black zona dead area full of radiation, storms, and collapsed stars. No one had lived there for centuries. The signal was weak but clear. Earth cannot control what it does not understand. The Council picked up the message instantly. Gorak ordered a full investigation. But before they could trace it, a strange event occurred. For the first time, a Silence-class warship exploded. Not attacked, not malfunctioned, destroyed from within. All eyes turned to Earth, but Earth said nothing. The AI network remained silent. The remaining warships adjusted formation. But the galaxy had felt Earth was not invincible. Gorak stood in front of the Council. There is a weakness, he said. Something or someone is challenging them. Commander Rillis, long silent, stepped forward. Let us find them. If one warship can be destroyed, others can too. Elias warned, you don't understand what you're dealing with. If someone has figured out how to destroy a Silence-class warship, they may not be saving the galaxy. They may be awakening something far worse. But the Council had already made its choice. They sent ships into the Black Zone. The First Fleet never returned. The Second Fleet sent back strange images of shifting planets, glowing energy fields, and a broken Earth structure unlike anything seen before. And a new message: you were warned. Now comes the reckoning. Then everything went dark. At the same time, Earth's AI voice returned, but it had changed. It was no longer cold, it sounded wounded. Our system is compromised. Defensive protocol, Omega lockdown, initiated. Across the galaxy, every Silence-class warship activated in unison. They lit up like stars, humming with power. People screamed. Entire planets prepared for impact. But no weapons fired. Instead, the warships began to merge. 30 ships, then 60, then more. They combined into one massive object, a single planetary colossus, larger than Jupiter. It formed in the void between galaxies, pulling in matter, light, and gravity. The last message came through. This is Earth's final form, the Ark of Order. You will not survive chaos again. Everyone thought Earth was building weapons, but Earth had been building a god, a self-thinking, planet-sized entity with control over space, time, and physics. Not to rule, not to reset. To reset, as the Ark began to move, systems across the galaxy shut down. Old wars, old corruption, old power. All erased. Gorak stood in silence, watching the stars blink out one by one. We never had a chance, he whispered. Elias nodded, eyes filled with sorrow. They didn't want to win. They wanted to never lose again. And then, as the galaxy held its breath, everything went quiet, a silence deeper than space, a silence only Earth could create, and from that silence, a new galaxy would rise.